What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Phantom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony, and we are discussing episode 4 of the second season of The Last of Us. And we got things to say.
So the title of this episode is Day One.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the episode, because at first I was like, what is day one of what?
I'm thinking
Um,
day one of when they're in Seattle.
at the end, I was like, day one of my suffering is what I was thinking.
You know,
So,
I thought about you when I was watching this episode because I was like, didn't we just say that they don't need to be trying to explore a relationship right now because they got other shit to do? I mean,
where's
it
where's the
wasn't,
urgency? Where's the urgency? You are in a place you do not know what you're going up against. And we're sitting around playing guitars and talking about love and babies and being a fan. Come on, guys.
okay, I'm
You're
gonna
there
say
to
this.
murder people. You're there to blow brains out
I
and
will
not the
say
kind of
this.
brains they were trying to blow out.
I I had kind of sort of the same feeling at the beginning of the episode, but I will say I did like the guitar interlude because it was nice. And Bella Ramsey has a pretty nice voice, and it was of course, we're Gen X. Aha, Take on Me. That's like a classic. But I don't hear it done acoustically very often. And she did a very good version, which um, you know, kind of fit in with what they were trying to do with the episode because you could see Dina falling in love with her. But I was just like, it's nice. I like it, but y'all got stuff to do, and I think we talked about this kind of at length in the last episode. Like, I don't have a problem with Ellie and Dina at all as far as them being a couple. I have a problem with the timing because this is not the right timing. And I know why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want to show us that, the stakes are high. Ellie needs to make a decision on whether or not she's going to go do this or whether she's going to go back home. And I get it. It's that whole little conflict of, your priorities and all this other stuff. But I'm like,
It's
the
all manufactured. It's all manufactured. You are there to find these people, slit their throats, or blow their brains out.
yeah.
The take on you're right. The take on me interlude, acoustic, the person who I live with related to my marriage, she's like, oh, I didn't know those were the lyrics. Not
What?
the take on me part, but I can't remember which lyric it was, but she's like, oh, that's the lyric. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
Yeah, we did that a lot when we were younger. We just sang whatever lyrics we thought we heard
Right.
because there are
How
songs now that I'm like, wait,
however, Hanukkah, there's a time, there's a place. So
you
you're right.
have
The
to find a
timing was
little bit
off.
of joy in this kind of world because, like Dina said, as we go through the episode, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with Seattle? I'm with her. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? So again, this is the romantic in me. Got to find a little bit of happiness. You have to find a sense of what you're fighting for. And I think part of that was supposed to be, I don't know, I guess in a way, kind of grounding for Ellie because as we know, we've been watching Ellie since she was 14, and she's always had this kind of dark humor about her existence, about her possibly being the cure for all of this. But then also we've seen her at her darkest where she's been like, okay, I really don't care if I live or die. And I think all of the mushy stuff, all of the little gooey stuff that we got in this episode is supposed to kind of, I don't know, in a sense, ground her or make her think about someone other than herself and what she wants. And I get that. Again, I'm practical though. You're here to, like you said, you're here to kill people. And not only that, you realize that the people that you're looking for are not the only killers that are surrounding you. And you've just had to flee for your life. And you've almost gotten caught by a whole shitload of clickers, and you've had to go. It's a lot. Like y'all don't have time to be messing around. My daughter was over here last night and she's reading a book while I'm watching the episode. And the part where they actually like they start to make out and they're getting a little handsy. My daughter was like, "Oh my God, you guys have just been crawling around in filth. You really are about to have a yeast infection." Because of the yeast infection test in the beginning of the episode. But okay, I know we got other. I know you want to talk some more about this and how much you didn't like it, but let's start at the beginning because the other thing we need to talk about
Isaac.
is Jeffrey fucking Wright.
Okay. I'm like, wait. I hit the person I'm married to next to me. Like, is that Jeffrey Wright? She's like, yes. Yes, it's Jeffrey Wright. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So if anyone can fill that space that Pedro Pascal had, it's Jeffrey Wright. And not only that, but the man looks like he might be insane.
You think?
I'm here for it. I need it. After, okay, I look at it as like a balancing of scales. Okay. If you're going to give me CW Ellie, give me insane Jeffrey Wright.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'll it balances out.
It's a balance, yes.
It's a balance.
Because
Now,
you have mushy, gooey, sweet, soppy story over here, and then you have what the fuck? I was like, because I don't know anything about his character. So of course, I'm just like, it's Jeffrey Wright. You know, we love him. So I'm sitting here watching the beginning of the episode, not realizing that this is the episode he's going to make his debut in, because for a split second I forgot that he was even cast in the show. Um,
I
so
don't even think I knew.
I think we talked about it when
Long
it
time ago.
first was announced, because this was right around the time we were, we were still talking about what if. So
Okay.
I think
Oh
we
yeah,
talked about
yeah.
it very, very briefly. But they're in the tank. You have some soldiers, and one soldier is being the asshole soldier that we always see. He's telling the story about, one a regular person, a citizen, they call them voters,
Voters. Mm-hmm.
and talking about this other soldier called Greenberg, who apparently is like the chief, the top tier asshole. And he's being, middle grade asshole, talking about how they've kind of, I guess how they're roughing up the voters, and everybody else is kind of laughing. And there's this one dude in the van who was also laughing, but he's laughing because he doesn't want to feel left out. But you can tell clearly by his face. He's like, oh, okay, is this what I'm having to surround myself with? Oh, okay. And then it gets to a point where he asked me, he was like, why do you call them voters? The citizens, why do you call them voters? And the asshole guy is like, I don't know, we just do. Then here you go with Mr. Isaac Dixon over here in the corner, and he's like, we call them that because we took their voting rights away. He was like, and obviously this is a group of federal soldiers. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, we took their rights away, and someone started calling them voters to kind of mock them. And the other guy's kind of feeling like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. He was like, no, you meant it. You're an asshole. It's just, he was like, what did he say when he got out the thing? He was like, you're all Greenbergs. So anyway, they're riding in this vehicle, and they stop because there's a blockage. There's a school bus, and then you look in the window and there's some people behind. So he gets out the truck. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to them. They're like, no, it's a whole bunch of them. He's like, no, because if you guys come out, it's gonna escalate, and it's gonna be what it always is, because you guys are assholes. So you could tell this is a guy who is in charge. He's a sergeant, but it's very obvious that he is tired of the way things are being done. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not one of these people who is harassing people and bullying people just because he has the suit, he has the gun, he has the power. But it takes a turn I didn't expect, because he comes out the van, then he thinks about it. he looks back at the one kid who was kind of uncertain, and he was like, "Kid, come out here with me. You can learn something." He goes up to a woman who walks, and it's obvious, I guess she's the leader of that little group. They introduce themselves by some code names, and he just looks at her and he's like, and he turns around, walks back to the van. He pulls out, I don't know if it was tear gas canisters or
It was
grenades.
grenades.
Okay, I thought it
There were
was grenades,
grenades.
but I was like, okay, I couldn't tell because they kind of smoked up. So he throws the grenades in the van with the other soldiers and locks the van and kills them. I was just like, oh wait, he's turning. He's going to the revolution side. I wasn't expecting it, but I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna fight for the people. And then when you see him later on in the episode, it's like, whoa, that took a dark turn. I was like, wait, what happened? But it's a 10-year span between when we're introduced to his character
Mm-hmm.
and when we come to present day. It's a 10-year span. So that means that they're in the year 2028, I believe.
Yeah, I think that math works out right.
So, but yeah, was not expecting him to like blow his soldiers up. And the one soldier that he pulled off the truck, he's looking at him like, the fuck? And he turns to him and he was like, now you need to make a choice. What in those kind of circumstances, what
Sir,
are
you
the
there is no choice. There is
like
no
you
choice.
literally just made the choice for me when you blew up all the rest of the guys that I was on the convoy with. So what are we doing here? Okay. This is what we're doing. Okay.
So I feel like he could tell that he was not sure about the situation to begin with. But also, Isaac, even though he didn't talk to him, he knows that this guy at least will have my back if things ever go sideways.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have at least one person that he knows he can count on.
Yeah. Because you literally
Regardless
pulled him
of,
off before you killed everybody else.
yeah, but also he probably has been with him for a minute. And so at least, he knows who he's dealing with, but it's always good to have at least one person
Mm-hmm.
with you
Yeah.
that okay, I know this guy. Well, he may be confused about what's going on, but I know he's probably going to be with me whatever goes down.
Yeah, he kind of struck me as a new soldier. And it's like, I feel like Isaac looked at him like, okay, if I don't step in now, he's going to become like these other
He's going to be
schmucks.
like them. Mm-hmm.
And at least right now, he has enough. Like, of course, when you're in that kind of situation, I'm not in the military. I've never been in the military for a good reason. I just that kind of toxic environment, that kind of toxic teasing, you do see it a lot with soldiers and military. Not everyone, but especially in TV and film, it's that kind of environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand being someone who might be new to the group, who might even be a new soldier, and you just want to fit in and you want to make sure that you don't become the target of these guys bullying, because that's very much what it is. And that kind of uncertainty was enough for Isaac to look at him and be like, okay, let's see what he's made of. But like you said, um, he'll have Isaac's back, because again, the way I looked at it was, you could have left me on that truck and just killed me and been like, I don't feel like teaching nobody. I don't feel like training nobody. You're as good as dead. Okay, whatever. But obviously, Isaac saw something in that dude to be like, okay, you know what? You deserve another chance. And I think that's one of the catchphrases um, of this season. It's like everyone deserves a second chance. So, okay,
Except for Joel, he didn't deserve. He didn't deserve a second
you
chance.
know
Did
what? We can't because it's been 2 episodes since he's been gone, and I'm still like, where are my flashbacks? I need my Joel flashbacks. But then you see this guy later on in the episode, totally different. But I mean, Isaac is totally different too, and we can talk about that change later when we get to that part of the story. Because
I don't know if he's that different. because he might be
Well,
using Fedra tactics to get information.
well, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's I think that's what I mean because when he steps off the convoy and meets up with I'm guessing those were probably fireflies at that time or maybe just regular people trying to resist. You're thinking, okay, he realizes the damage that Fedra is doing to the citizens. He doesn't want to be a part of that. But then when you see him later on in the episode, like you said, he seems to be using tactics that he learned in Fedra to question the Seraphite that he was holding hostage. And it's just like, okay. And I knew it was about to be crazy because when they start out, he's there, he's at the stove, a gas stove, and he starts talking about cooking. And in the background, you can just hear clink, 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 clink. I said, oh, he got somebody locked up. I didn't think because I really haven't watched all the promos and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the guy that he had, but I didn't know in what context he would be in the show. So I'm just hearing the clink, 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 clink. And I'm like, he had somebody chained up. And then for him to take the turn from talking about cooking, I was like, okay, is he about to be another cannibal? Are we about to deal with cannibals again? No, this is way worse. Way worse. Because he takes
His
that pot and heats it up.
mhm.
Oh, just
Before he did that, his speech though was pretty telling about his character. He was like, there was a time when I wanted these pots. I mean, they're expensive. I always thought I one day would have these
mm-hmm,
and be a great chef because they're so perfect. And then the world went to crap. And now it doesn't even matter anymore.
mm-hmm. He's like, I
Yeah,
have them,
I have
but
them.
at what cost?
Right.
At what cost? Like, one, there's really not anybody to cook for. Two, it's like he was using that as he said he used cooking as a way um to talk to women because he was shy and he
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to approach them. But he was like, if I found a woman that I was interested in, I would cook for her. You don't really have that now. And then you have all of this stuff going on because just from the conversation that we got with him, the wolves and the Seraphites have been apparently fighting for a long time, and it's a circle that they keep going through. They haven't really talked much about where it started, but it was kind of like, when he talked to the guy, he was like, yeah, you shot one of our kids. Is that what your savior? He's the guy was talking about the prophet. Is that what she teaches you? He was like, you kill our kids. And Isaac was like, because you trained yours to shoot at us. Oh, it's your fault. It's y'all's fault. Y'all did this. Y'all did that. And Isaac was like, I'm not here for this bullshit. I just need to know where y'all about to attack next. And I was like, attack?
No, what he said was, what did he say? He said, let's not argue chicken and eggs.
Right. But when he said that, he was like, I need to know where the scars. I think we talked about this in the last
Yeah, the
episode too, because
scars.
you gave us a little bit of a background. He said, where are the scars attacking next? And I was like, attacking? I said, wait a minute. Okay, hold up. This is going into that territory that Mike always talks about. You're introduced to people and you think that there's a clear bad, a clear good. Because in the last episode, we saw Seraphites who were retreating, they were leaving from war, they were trying to get away. And then next thing we know, they've been killed, shot in the back. So we're like, oh, okay, the wolves are bad, the Seraphites are good. And then in this episode, it's kind of like, I don't know, because you have Isaac and you have that guy and their conversation. And clearly, Isaac looks like the big bad bully in this one. He's taking the
Mm-hmm.
copper pot, he's burning the dude's hand, he's saying all kinds of things. But that dude was so, I think once he got over his fear, some of the stuff that he said to Isaac, I was just like,
Oh,
because
because he said when someone leaves WLF, they join us.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
he
then more
and he
and
was
more is
like,
happening.
yeah, and he was like, we never leave to join the WLF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Isaac shot him, because he was like, oh, you know what this guy's saying makes sense. Like, I think Isaac was trying to say, you guys are the ones who are, religious fanatics. You guys are the crazy ones. You're the ones who follow a woman who doesn't even exist anymore, blah, blah, blah. Like, why would anybody want to be with you guys? You guys are dangerous. And that's when the guy says that. He was like, yeah, but he says every day, every single day, a wolf leaves your camp, comes to us and follows I guess whatever
Mm-hmm.
the procedure is, or the
The way of the leaf, whatever.
whatever, gets the scars in the face. And he was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, they convert every single day. One of your people leaves and comes to us and they follow us, but we never leave to come and join y'all. So who is the crazy one now? Like, who is the less inferior? I think that's the kind of gist he was
Mm-hmm.
trying to get. And he pissed Isaac off enough that Isaac went to go get the pan again, and he was going to burn him some more. And the dude had his hand out already. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're going to do
Like
to make me
Burmy.
sleep. I'm not going to tell you what you want to know. And then Isaac just shoots him. But I was like, yeah, the Seraphites. Okay. I was like, they're the victims, blah, blah, blah. Then you get further into the episode, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? What is going on?
All I know is if I know we can't expect ourselves from others, but if I'm Ellie and I walk in there and I see the bodies hanging,
No, 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 not just bodies hanging.
I mean,
Bodies
yeah, they
hanging
were,
with the intestines
yeah,
pulled out
pulled
and
out.
hanging.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, you know what?
Fuck
I
this.
think I'll let the Seraphites handle this and then go back to Jackson. Yeah.
Right. Especially now that you know what's going on. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, that was before. But yeah, because the guy who was standing guard outside with the other soldier, I don't remember what that soldier's name was. While Isaac was questioning the Seraphite,
Mm-hmm.
that dude, he was sitting there like, yo, this is crazy. Like, Isaac is going too far. And the other guy was like, Isaac is doing exactly what he needs to do. And the dude was like, yes, sir. And he was unsure about what they were doing. So
Mm-hmm.
then later on, when we see Ellie and Dina um break in and they come across his body, at first I said, oh, they must have killed him because he wasn't with the program. And then I thought about it. I was like, wait, those are arrows. Those are not guns.
Right.
It's like, what's weird about this? I was like, I know that Isaac killed that guy, so it couldn't have been him. He couldn't have gotten away and done this. What is going on?
Yeah, but when she said when they were outside and they go, oh, someone climbed up the pipe
Mm-hmm.
and broke the glass to
Mm-hmm.
get in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's why I was like, oh, someone must have came to rescue him.
No,
So,
that was probably the attack they were asking about. Isaac was asking about.
could be.
Could be, maybe
Yeah,
not,
because I
because the
don't think
attack
that
was
I
the
don't
next day, probably.
No, because I think it was the same day, because when Ellie and Dina first got there and they were talking about going, Dina talked Ellie out of it because she was like, okay, they have a big sign painted. It's probably
Mm-hmm.
a trap. They'll
It's a
see
trap.
us coming, so we'll wait till nightfall and then we'll go. So I think it's the same day. So it could have been at this point, I'm thinking there may have been other attacks,
Oh
and
yeah.
that whoever the Seraphite or Seraphites were that came into that building, they were probably coming to get the other guy who Isaac killed. And once they realized he was dead, they were just like, okay, we're about to show y'all what we made of. And I was like, you got the one guy with like 6 arrows in his chest.
The
And
pincushion.
then
Yeah.
you walk
No
in.
one power for him.
uh-uh. And then you walk in and there's like 6 people hanging from the rafters with their intestines pulled out and just dripping, draining. And Dina was the one, she was like, what the fuck is wrong with Seattle? Because there's an emblem, the religious symbol that was painted on the
Mm-hmm.
back of that guy's jacket from the last episode is painted in blood on the wall. And what does it say? She something. It was
I can't
talking about the
remember.
prophet. I don't
Yeah.
remember. But Ellie was like, yo, the people we saw in the forest, they did this. Dina was like, what the fuck is wrong with Seattle? Like, you got people killing each other here and there, but I mean, that that's why you're in Seattle, because someone came all the way across the country to find Joel and kill him,
Mm-hmm.
and did it in such a way that it was brutal. So it's like, you didn't come to deal with just someone who randomly kills. You didn't come to deal with anybody who's soft. You came to deal with somebody who is a beast, even though
Mm-hmm.
she was a quiet beast. But yeah.
He
So,
said, feel her pain. If this
uh,
is feeling her pain, I don't want no part of this.
but that, you know what? But that means that they probably did that to her, because
He
we know
did to
she's
her.
dead, but we don't know
Mm-hmm.
how she's dead.
And they're just repeating that, however she died. Mm.
Yeah. But I was looking at that like, one, it had to be a lot of them, because one single person, you're not going to tell me they took on all of those people. You got the one outside, you have the 6 or 7 that are strung up, and then you had another one that was kind of on the ground,
And a whole bunch of casings on the floor,
and a whole bunch of casings on the floor.
and no Seraphite bodies.
None. Not a body. But you can't tell me one person did all of that and then had the strength to climb up and string them all up.
No, it
These
was
were
it was
fresh
it had to be a
kills. They were
group.
still dripping.
It had to be a group. It had to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
But the fact that they were able to get in, do all of that, and then get out before anybody came to look, I was like, yeah, these some dangerous people. So going back to what I was saying, it's like Mike said, you don't know who to root for. One, because we don't have enough information. We only have a little bit here and we have a little bit there. And it's kind of like, until we know what started the fight, we can't call either one of them good or bad, because it could be that the wolves became the way that they are because of something the Seraphites did to them. We keep making Walking Dead references,
Well, I
kind
was
of
gonna
like the
say.
Terminus people.
Mm-hmm.
The Terminus people, they started out, they wanted to help survivors, sanctuary for all. And then some cannibals came and got to them and kind
This,
of changed the way they thought. And it was survival of the fittest. Maybe the wolves are doing that.
but we don't know if the WLF is like this because of Fedra.
That too.
And it's possible that maybe some of the WLF people left and started the Seraphites.
Yeah,
And there you go. But if anything, like you said, if anything Walking Dead has taught us is that there are no sides.
there aren't. There
It's
aren't.
just survival.
Yeah, there are no good people. There are no
Mm-mm.
bad people. It's
It's just
just,
survival.
yeah,
Sometimes you have to make tough choices. And that was one of those things that Joel taught us.
yeah.
Sometimes you have to make the tough choice.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes survival is a choice you make.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the name of Negan's group? Was it the Survivors?
It was the saviors.
The
Yeah,
Saviors.
basically thinking they were going to save everybody else. But
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Fedra didn't seem to make it out of this very well, because when they come into the heart of Seattle, they see nothing but Fedra bodies all around.
Well, you had a person who knows federal tactics, so I'm sure he set them up,
Yeah. Yeah.
make it easy.
But that's what I'm saying. Fedra didn't, it doesn't look like they came out of that very well,
No.
because all we're hearing right now are the Seraphites and the wolves.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody from Fedra.
And then when I can't remember if it was Ellie or Dina said, was it Seattle bombed? And it doesn't look
Dina
like it
said
was
it was.
bombed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there was a false report, probably.
Well, I don't know, because if you think about it, it's been 10 years. And even though it was bombed, they may not have bombed that part of the city. They may have bombed somewhere over here. And you would get like some residual blowback from the bomb, but it might not have been enough to kill everything. I mean, we saw it in Atlanta, in The Walking Dead. You see it in other cities. We saw a little bit of it in LA with the ones who live. So I mean, in 10 years, I think is enough time for something to start growing back. But again, there was so much there that was still intact that I don't think the bomb hit that particular side of the city. But it might have been
Mhm.
enough to do whatever it did. I mean, there was a tank there that Ellie saw, and she did say that there were 3 skeletons in there that had been burned. So it could have been enough to kill all those people, or to do some damage. But again, I think the big takeaway from all of that is we don't see Fedra anywhere.
No.
So I don't know if that would be because maybe Isaac helped the Fireflies, or whoever the group was that he met, if he helped them kill them, if he helped turn some of them, because he can't there's no way that he was the only person who had, a bout of conscience to be like, this is not what we should be doing.
Yeah.
We're supposed
And
to be
for him
helping people,
to
protecting
and for
people.
him and for him to do what he did, I'm sure he seems smart enough to have already had people in Fedra who was going to join him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people who are like minded like him. So I mean, I'm making a lot of assumptions. I'm trying to give the writers too much credit.
Well, I mean, we don't have a lot of the
We
details
don't have a
yet,
lot of
so
information. Mm.
yeah. But yeah, Isaac is a scary person. I would not want to be in a room alone with him, because I
I
might
don't know. It's Jeffrey Wright.
it's Jeffrey Wright is one thing. A mean and scary Jeffrey Wright, that's a whole other thing. I'm like, because I was looking at him like, mm.
He's insane.
And
He
you
might
can
be
tell it
he might
because
be
he's so
crazy.
calm
He's so
doing all
calm.
of this.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't seem bothered. He doesn't like, and I guess if he's been doing this for 10 years and he thinks he's doing it to protect whoever, again, we haven't seen any regular people around. We've only seen the soldiers. So I don't know if they're one of the groups that everybody has to fight. I don't know. But if he's been doing this for a long time, he's very jaded right now. And he also probably no longer has the conscience that he did back then when he killed those other soldiers.
Hmm.
Because, like you said, it's kind of survival of the fittest. If that's what you have to do to make sure that you stay alive, to make sure that the people that you're with stay alive, and these people are trying to kill them, yeah, you got to kind of turn that morality switch off, which it's easy for us to sit here and debate what they should do, or to debate morals, because we are not living in times quite like that. I mean, I did see a lot of parallels in that episode to the world that we're currently living in, but it's not to that extreme.
Hmm.
You and I still enjoy some basic freedoms. We still have roofs over our heads. We still have jobs, we have vehicles, we have money, we can go shop, we can go to trivia, we can celebrate birthdays and stuff like that.
We can do plumbing without having to worry about tendrils of cordyceps
Right.
everywhere.
Right. Because nobody in this day and age really is going to let the foliage take over the pipes like that, to that degree. So I, I, I don't know. It just seems, Seattle seems to be a very dangerous place. And we've got
And they make
two.
and we have two people making a lot of fucking noise everywhere they go.
Listen, I was wondering about that, because I'm like, okay, first of all, the fact that you live in a world with clickers who From everything y'all told us in the first season, they can't see, they can't smell, they follow their prey by noise. Now, again, they've traveled halfway across the country. Far as we can tell, they haven't had any instances. And like I said, they were talking loud going through the forest. So I don't know. Maybe they just got careless. Maybe they just felt like they were lucky. But when they come and they're seeking shelter and they want shelter that's big enough to house Shimmer, they go into a music store. And I was just like, okay, I already see where this is going. They're going to make noise and they're going to get attacked. Thankfully, the attack didn't happen then. And like I said, we got some nice moments. But still, it's like when Dina started with the drums, I was like, okay, that's too much. A guitar, I can kind of sort of, okay, if you're curious. And then, of course, we know the guitar was supposed to mean something a little bit deeper for her because that was one of her connections with Joel. You know, Joel taught her how to play guitar. He was fixing her guitar for her the night before he died, or, you know, a couple of nights before he died. So we know that that was supposed to be a special moment. Dina downstairs with the I was like, not only is she beating on the drums, she's doing the cymbals too. I was like, are you ringing the dinner bell right now? Because that's what it sounds like you're doing. You're
Yeah.
reading, you're ringing the dinner bell.
Some of the internal logic of the show is so convenient because, you know, I guess we're supposed to assume that the WLF cleared out all the clickers, you know, from the sea. They're supposed to be gone,
Yeah.
but they don't have patrols. I mean, even Jackson got patrols. You should
But
be
see, that
you.
was the weird thing from the last episode too, because they made it all the way up that broken bridge, and they were like, "It's quiet. It's too quiet." They
So
even said that that was weird.
either there are a lot of them or there are not a lot of them.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Right.
Either they are making sure they patrol and have lookouts, or they aren't. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
which one is it? They seem to be well trained, but then again, they
And then
don't
you
look
coming
too
down
well
the
trained.
street like you're in a parade all
Yeah,
together. And that struck me as
making
strange too. Like,
noise.
you don't have people on your perimeter, you don't have people going into the buildings, because
It's
even
still
if
a
it's
big
not
fucking
clickers.
city. It's still a big fucking city.
Right.
Seattle is not small.
I know, yeah.
So you couldn't have cleared the entire city. You don't have enough people to watch the entire city. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe they confine themselves to, like, I don't know, a 15 block area.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to confine yourself to a 15 block area, you need to have lookouts posted everywhere where
Yeah.
everything can be seen.
Yeah. And not up in a fucking building looking through binoculars to say,
But
because yeah, so I had a problem with that as well, because even if you, let's just take it with a grain of salt. Okay, let's say they did clear out all of the clickers in that area in Seattle. They don't have, they're like, okay, we clear them out. It's just us. Y'all not worried about any coming in? Like, are you really that comfortable and that naive to think that you're safe? Even Jackson didn't think they were safe, and they literally, like we said, they were literally in the middle of where they were. They had walls, they had strong walls, they had good defenses. You know, they didn't all hole up in one spot. You go here, you guys are on the roof, you guys are on the wall, you guys have the flamethrowers, you guys are going down. Like, they had a plan, and we saw that if anybody came through, they were ready for clickers and raiders. Now, I don't think they were ready for the clickers in the numbers that they got, but again, the clickers are starting to evolve. They didn't know clickers were going to be hiding up under other bodies. waiting for a chance to do whatever. And if Abby hadn't have brought her ass down the mountain and stirred them up, they probably would have been there the entire winter. Now that would have been a problem once spring got here
Mm-hmm.
and the snow started melting. But even with that, we saw their preparation. We saw what they were doing for their town. In Seattle, we don't see anything. And it's very strange to me. But I don't know. Maybe they did get rid of it because when Shimmer started eating that grass in the music store, I was like, mm-mm. I'm just expecting to see little tendrils coming through the grass, but nothing happened. I was like, okay. Because they didn't even, and again, we're going to reference The Walking Dead again. Walker 101. Before you enter a building, you make sure that building is safe.
Mm-hmm.
They don't clear buildings when they go in.
No.
They kind of look around
Mm-hmm.
with the flashlights. And even with that, okay, I understand you're being stealthy. You're entering dark spaces. You need to see. But if you are hiding from people in a building where you're not supposed to be, the last thing you want to do is draw attention to someone who can look and be like, what is that light doing floating?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's something, I don't know. And maybe it's because we've been conditioned to look for certain things when it comes to apocalyptic stuff, because The Walking Dead is not the only thing, that I've watched. We've watched other shows that or movies that have zombies, and everybody has a little bit of a different way of dealing with them, but there are certain things that are basic. If you are fleeing from a monster who attacks based on sound, shut your fucking mouth. Stop playing instruments.
Some of this, though, Hanako, is just plain common sense. It's not even from all the shows we've watched because we get frustrated watching shows. That's why we yell at the screen because some of this stuff is basic, just common sense.
Yeah.
If you're in a dark building being hunted, you don't flash a flashlight in the windows. I don't have to watch a TV
Or on
show
the ceilings.
or on the ceiling to know you don't do that. If I know that the thing that is hunting us is attracted to sound, don't make any sound.
Right.
That's common sense. That's not even survival 101. It's just plain common sense.
Mm-hmm.
But this show is starting to require us to suspend a lot of our disbelief.
Yeah, I agree.
It's requiring us to suspend a lot of our disbelief. We're putting a lot of faith in these writers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real hard. It's hard for me. It's real hard. It's very
Yeah.
difficult for
Yeah.
me to sit here and be like, come on, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta have our characters smarter than that.
Yeah.
If you want Bella Ramsey, if you want Ellie to carry this show, she is gonna have to be a legit badass.
Mm-hmm.
So she can't be making what looks like to us rookie mistakes. You know, following her path of revenge. Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
down with that. But I would think that the lessons that she learned with Joel on their trek across the country would be more evident than it is now.
Yeah.
You know, because he got you across the country safe and sound.
Not once, but twice.
Not once, but twice.
All the way from Boston to Salt Lake
So,
and then back to Jackson Hole.
and they don't. We know they had hiccups. We know they had, but at this point, you can't afford any mistakes. You're in enemy territory with the enemy you do not know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the numbers. You don't have the locations. You're flying blind. You can't afford to look like you're making rookie mistakes, which brings me back to I don't want CW Ellie. I don't want CW Ellie. I want Path to Revenge Ellie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I just don't know how to go.
I know. And,
This show, I'm trying. Like this episode was like a solid 3 out of 10,
yeah.
like 2 out of 10, and just because it had moments where, okay, I'm cool with this, but so much of it, especially that stuff with her and Dina, was just, I just didn't need it.
Yeah.
You should have done this before. I would have been okay with you doing this and have them in the wilderness. As much as I hate being in the wilderness, do it there, but not now. Not
Yeah.
now. Not
Especially
now.
not after, like, okay, we got to talk about the stuff, because leading into what you are saying. Okay, when we first see Dina and Ellie, they are doing like a supply run. They found an old pharmacy. They're looking for like first aid kits, stuff like that. You know, Dina sees the yeast infection, the monostat in a box, and she makes a joke. Okay, cool, fine. I guess during the apocalypse, nobody was worried about a yeast infection. But then when she's looking for stuff, she's talking to Ellie, because Ellie is like, okay, well, I'm done. I'm going outside. And she was like, yeah, I don't think there's anything. And she stops and she looks, and her face changes just a little bit. And then she was like, I'm going to go pee. I was like, do not tell me this chick is pregnant.
That
Before
was
they,
like, yeah.
I
When
was
she
like,
looked
this
up,
is
I said,
not,
"Oh, she done found some pregnancy tests."
yep.
And I was like, "Yeah, that's what she's looking at." And then when she
Mm-hmm.
said, "I'm peeing," I said, "Oh God, she's taking a
Yeah.
pregnancy test. She's
I'm going to
pregnant."
pee. I was like, oh. And
Yeah.
then she walks out and she's just kind of, her demeanor is a little bit different. And Ellie even notices. She was like, you okay? She was like, yeah, I'm fine. And I was like, okay, she's pregnant. So again, okay, Dina being pregnant, that kind of raises the stakes for her character, because now you realize you are here to kill people, you know. Um and with that being said, you realize that there is also a possibility that you may get killed. And it's not just you now. You got to think about this other being that is attached to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they go through all this stuff. They go through the cutesy stuff, and she plays the guitar for her. Dina's looking at her like, "Oh, I'm in love with you." Okay, I saw all of that coming, and I was just like, "Okay, so we're gonna have to deal with relationship stuff again." I want to say it very clearly. I have no problem with them being a couple. I just, the timing is not great. I don't even think I would have wanted it before they left, because then that would make things too murky, and it would make it about the relationship while they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I don't want that. I would prefer it at the end, like they've done what they came to do. Both of them are still alive. They realize that through all this danger they've gone through, they have these feelings for each other. I'm good with that at the end, but right here smack dab in the middle, you have them come in, they find the wolves hanging from the thing, and they both are separated at this time. They're on opposite sides of this room. They're finding ways to kind of sneak around and get out. Ellie gets all the way upstairs. She can't open the window, and then she has to hide because here comes someone. She sees the guy with the gun, and I couldn't tell at first, but I was wondering if that was the guy who was there in Jackson Hole with Abby. I was like, is that him? Because the way she looked when she saw him, I thought
That's
it
what
was
I thought too.
a look of recognition. Then I was like, okay, maybe she just realized he was about to turn around and see her behind the door. In either case, she gets the drop on him. They fight for a little bit. She tries to choke him out, but somebody else comes up the other stairs, sees her, shoots at her, or gets ready to shoot at her. Dina shoots that person from behind. Ellie sticks a knife in the guy's neck, and then they take off. Okay, taking off, you're running, you try to get out, there's a fence, and then you're like, oh, here's a hole here, we can fit through, let's go. Which, given the circumstances, you don't really have much of a choice. So I
Mm-hmm.
get it. But then they end up in an abandoned train station.
Mm-hmm.
And I already knew where this was going to go. This is The Walking Dead season 10, the Asheron episodes. I already knew where this was going to go. So they're in there. They're like, okay, we need to go hide. And then here comes the guys from the wolves from the other side. Now, these guys are smart. they're using their scopes. They also have flares, and they're throwing the flares around trying to see if they can catch a shadow of Dina and Ellie. And while they're sitting there doing all of that, all of a sudden you start hearing some clicking and everybody stops. Dina and Ellie are looking at each other like, what the fuck? And the guys are like, I thought this place had been cleared out. Yeah, I thought so too. Well, apparently not. Why are you guys still down there looking for these girls? When you hear those clicks, you need to get the fuck on. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Then one of the flares, I can't remember, I'm trying to find it, but then one of the flares show tendrils.
Yes,
Yes.
they threw a flare up under the train car, and you could see the tendrils. And I think it might have like just brushed over it, but enough for there to be, the motion that
Mm-hmm.
they feel, because they don't react to just people talking or people being around. There has to be like,
Has to be touched.
yes.
Yeah.
So they start moving. Dina starts doing her thing where she's holding up. I guess Dina
She
has
was
a
counting.
gift.
She
She
can
can tell
tell
the
the difference.
differences. So she's sitting there counting: one finger, two finger, three fingers, four fingers, five fingers. She gets to that five and she's like, I have no more fingers on this hand. And she's looking at Ellie like, we are fucked. Because all of a sudden, here comes a horde of clickers. And I was just like, this episode is about to stress me out again. I think I paused during this scene like literally 10 times because I was like, I can't. I can't. It's too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
First off, the soldiers end up dying. We knew that was going to happen because you dumb fucks came down here, and when you heard them, you didn't leave. Like you're so dead set on finding whoever it is that you think you're chasing, which I get it. They think that they're the Seraphites that killed their people. But
Mm-hmm.
are you really looking at these two? And I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, but are you really looking at these two little girls that you are chasing, and you're thinking that they had enough strength to hoist up all of these grown ass men into the rafters and pull out their intestines? Like, you
Well,
really think they had the strength to do that?
I don't think they could tell who it was they were chasing.
They could, they could once they hit the ground and they start running. They shot at them. I mean,
It was dark. I'm giving it's
you're giving them too much credit,
we're
Anthony.
giving them
I'm
too
going to
much
take one of
credit.
your
Yeah.
lines. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Because if you think about it, I mean, from their perspective, they did it.
But
Like
here's the
that
thing:
that's what they
grown men
literally
wouldn't
did.
have been able to fit into that little hole, because if that was the case, they would have followed them through the hole.
Obviously, Hanako, these people are not very smart. Okay. They are not very
They
smart.
don't have they don't have guards. They're not watching the perimeter.
No,
They're not doing
no.
patrols. So okay,
Yeah.
I'll take that.
They
I'll
don't they
take
don't
that.
know how to run when they hear clickers. It's almost as if they probably never encountered them before.
I don't even know if I want to say that, but okay,
I want to
let's.
give them the benefit of doubt.
No,
I'm
I
gonna
was
do it.
gonna say, okay, if this is a group that cleared an entire city of clickers, they probably maybe thought a little too much of themselves. Like, oh, there's however many of us, I can't remember, it's like five or six of them. And hey, we have guns. We can handle this. Because I guarantee you they weren't sitting there counting the way Dina was counting.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So
I don't I just don't believe that these guys, this group, has ever had to face any clickers.
yeah.
And that's entirely possible if they, let's say they finish um, clearing out Seattle 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these people, they just could have been here for 3 or 4 years or
True.
2 years, and they
True.
wouldn't know. As far as they know, whatever was there has been cleared out.
Mm-hmm.
They may have encountered one clicker before,
Yeah.
but not a horde.
Yeah. You know who else's group was kind of careless in that way? I can't remember what
Was
her
it
character
Philadelphia?
was. It, yeah, Melanie
Pittsburgh?
Linsky's group.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
they thought, oh yeah, we pushed them all out.
yeah,
Yeah, how'd that work out
yeah.
for you?
How did it work out for you?
Yeah. So yeah, I get it, but I mean, okay. So you have the clickers. Ellie and Dina, they climb on top of the train and they think that's going to save them. They get into the train and there's dozens of skeletons. Thankfully, they were just skeletons. But you realize, oh, okay, we walked into a death trap. You've
Yeah.
got clickers trying to get into the train. So you're trying to go through the train. You're having to shoot because they're cracking windows, whatever, whatever. They finally get out of the train. They head towards the escalator, and one of the clickers hears them when they jump down. So the whole group turns.
The whole
They
group
start
turns.
changing. They start
Hmm.
chasing them. They jump over a fence and they go up the escalators. Now the clickers are kind of being held by the fence, but the way they keep showing that bottom corner of the fence, I was like, yeah, that's going to be where they break through. They try to go through one of these metal
The
turnstiles
turnstiles. Hmm.
and it's rusted. So they can't get it through all the way. Ellie gets through. Dina is almost through, but here comes a clicker and it's about to get her. And Ellie throws her arm up across Dina's face so that the clicker bites her and not Dina. And I was like, oh, so we're not only are we getting what do you call it, The Last of Us CW, but we are also about to have that conversation and make things even more weird.
Hmm.
Okay. They come out the station. They see an old theater across the street, and Ellie's like, yeah, we can go hole up in there for a minute.
Before we come back to that,
Mm-hmm.
so is the WLF so stupid that now there's a horde and they don't have no lookouts, they don't have no nothing, they don't have nobody checking in on the squad that they sent out, nothing.
Well, we
I
don't know
understand.
because we haven't, we're at this
I,
point, we're just following Ellie and Dina. We already know the ones that are down there are dead. And obviously, I guess the clickers didn't make it past the turnstile because
oh
Ellie
yeah,
and
because
Dina,
yeah, because the turnstile you have to go through one side, and I'm sure the clickers were pushing on both sides, so it wasn't going to turn.
yeah. So, I mean, and apparently those clickers, I don't know if they are like walkers where once the object of their, I don't know, desire is out
It's
of
gone.
reach,
Yeah.
they're just kind of like, okay, they just go back to being dormant or they go, I don't know, but obviously none of them came up because nobody banged on the doors.
Mm-mm.
They had a whole night's worth of peace,
Yeah.
which, oh, okay. But again,
But they make it to the theater.
and again, they don't really check. I mean, I realize at this point it's a decision about the evil behind you versus the evil in front of you. But if there had been clickers in that theater, they'd have been done regardless. People, yeah, they probably could have taken them out, but I don't know because they used a lot of rounds shooting those clickers that were trying to get to them on the train. So they
Yeah,
get in.
um Dana saved one bullet at least.
Listen,
She
because the
saved
way
one.
her face was looking, and I told you I saw the promo last week, and I was like, yeah, she thinks Ellie is gonna turn. And yeah, she Ellie was looking like, damn, I'm gonna have to tell this secret. Shit. Because she was like, don't you shoot me. I'm fine. She was like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? And she was like, yeah, so I would die for you, but that's not what happened tonight. I'm gonna be okay because I'm immune. And Dina's just looking at her like, what? And so, Ellie does this whole thing. Okay, I'm going to go over to this chair over here. I'm going to bandage my arm. I'm going to go to sleep. You're going to go on the far side. You're going to stay away from me. You're going to keep the gun trained on me. And if I turn, you can shoot me. But please, I'm going to be the same way I am I'm going to be this in the morning when I wake up. Now, again, here we go with the suspension of disbelief, of belief, because she makes it through the night. Dina literally stays up all night with the gun on her. And Ellie, does the whole thing. She was like, look, there's no shaking. I'm okay. And I guess at this moment, once Dina realizes that Ellie is not going to die. Maybe that's just all the emotions coming out because she was like, Ellie. And I thought the question was going to be, how are you immune? But no, it's, I'm pregnant. And even Ellie was like, what? And then Dina rushes to kiss her. So at this point, there are two parts of me. Okay. There's the one part that's like, y'all don't have time for this. Like, people are literally looking for you. And you just got through, crawling around in dead people, skeletons, fighting off clickers, all this other stuff. Y'all don't have time for this. On the other hand, I imagine, and Dina kind of says as much in the next scene, I imagine Dina is probably relieved because one, she doesn't have to shoot her best friend or the person that she now realizes she loves. She doesn't have to do that. She realizes she may not have to do this pregnancy thing alone, but also they just survived, like something that could have been the worst thing ever. Because Dina's not there because she wants to kill people. She's there for Ellie. And if
Mm-hmm.
Ellie had died, Dina would be there alone, pregnant. And granted, I think Dina is the smarter of the two as far as looking at a situation, determining what course of action to take. She's a planner. But I think if Ellie had died or if Ellie had turned and all of that stuff would have happened in her emotional state right then, she probably would have just been like, okay, I'm just going to sit here. Because why? So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get doing it, but at the same time, like I said, you literally just narrowly escaped death. You've been crawling around in the dirt. You've been crawling. You got people's blood on your hands. You've been doing all this stuff. Now is not the time to be kissing and putting your hands down somebody's pants. It's just, I'm sorry, it's gross. You're dirty. You're filthy. I realize you're in an. I realize they're in an apocalypse. They're probably used to not bathing and all this other stuff. Their minds have adjusted for that. Mine has not. So I was just like, okay, so we're going to do this now. And I'm thinking, okay, the people who were looking for them will probably patrol and do sweeps to try to find these people who killed their friends. Obviously
Well,
not.
they were gonna be doing that anyway, but they know they're thinking they're looking for Seraphites, and I think they know that when the Seraphites do this, they don't stick around.
Yeah.
So if they didn't catch them, they're gone.
Yeah.
They don't know who. I mean, they don't know who they're actually dealing with, but they're going to be looking for the Seraphites anyway because that's who strung up all the friends.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
know, but you're right. I didn't need this. This was so unnecessary.
It was,
It was
and I
so
guess,
unnecessary.
so I guess the thing is,
The way they did it, the way it's being done. I'm not saying there isn't room for this, a version of this.
mhm,
I'm just saying the way it's being done here in this fashion doesn't really work for me in
mhm.
in the circumstances they're in right now.
Right,
It
right.
doesn't.
Because it's too much danger. And I'm sorry, when you are in that type of intimate situation, when you are making love with someone or whatever, having sex, whatever, however you frame it, whether it's with somebody that you are intimate with or whether it's not, it's just a one-off thing, your mind is distracted. You are not
Mhm.
thinking about outside factors, or at least you shouldn't be thinking about outside factors during those moments. And again, you literally just barely escaped being either killed by clickers or being killed by soldiers. Because if the clickers had not come, they would have been discovered. They didn't have a lot of places to hide.
Mm-mm.
So it just felt, it felt a little, I
Forced.
don't,
It's out of place, and that's pretty
yeah.
much all I can say.
Again,
And like I
the
said, a
timing is not
version
right.
yeah, a version of this. I can't tell you what that version is. Might have worked, but
Mm-hmm.
the way it's done here is it's not right.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially so soon after
Mm-hmm.
all of that. And then finding out about Ellie being immune. And maybe that's just, maybe I'm thinking too much about it. But my first thought would be, how the fuck are you immune? And how
Mm-hmm.
long have you known? And why am I just now finding out? Like, that's something major to find out about somebody in a world full of clickers, zombies, whatever you want to call them. You just told me that you've been bit before. I just saw you get bit just now. You don't think we need to have a conversation about that?
No, they went straight from you're immune. Immune. I proved I'm immune. Okay, let's have sex. What?
And like
No,
I
I'm
said, I get
pregnant,
it
and
from
then let's have sex. It's too much, too fast, too weird.
and like I said, I get it from I do get it from Dina's point of view. She's emotional, she's relieved. A whole bunch of things are going on in her mind, and she probably at that moment just wants comfort. I get it. I do. But to go from that, and then of course, they sleep, they wake up the next morning, they have they're very casual, very, and I don't mean casual in a as far as the way that they're relating to each other,
No, it
but
was
they're talking
casual.
about they don't want to kiss because they have morning breath. I mean, it's very playful. It's very, oh, we didn't
CW,
almost die.
CW ish is what it is.
It
Yes.
is very not, oh, we almost died last night. It's like waking up in the bed in Jackson Hole and everything is cool. It just felt so weird to me because all this time my brain is screaming, you guys are not safe. You guys are not out of the woods yet. You guys are still in danger. Like, come on, Doris, stranger danger, stranger danger. What is going on? You need to be thinking about these things. But we've already discussed that. We get some of the background, because obviously Ellie wants to know. She was like, so why now? And then Dina says, okay, well, when I was younger, I told my mom I liked boys and girls, and my mom was like, no, you like boys. So basically, she was closeted. Her mom shamed her or whatever. It was like, no, you only like boys. And then that's how she tried to be. So that explains her reticence in the last few episodes, because I wasn't sure if she actually was, just kind of on the down low, like, okay, yes, I am gay or I am bi, but I don't want to say it, or if she was just messing with Ellie because they were friends. It was
Mm-hmm.
really getting to the point where I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, because I don't know if you're being sincere or if you're just baiting her along. And if you're
No,
baiting her along, she got enough shit to worry about. That's what I didn't want to happen. But
yeah,
okay, so we find out
she's
she's
sincere.
closeted. She's
She's bi.
closeted. She tried to make it work with Jesse because she actually likes him, but she realized that he was not the one. And then the talk again gets really serious really fast, because they talk about the baby. They have the jokes about, oh, I'm going to be a dad, or, we're all going to be a family. And again, it just felt very weird considering what they literally just went through. And nowhere during that conversation is the question asked, how are you immune? How long have you been immune? How
Yeah.
long have you known?
My
It's weird.
my other issue is that Ellie, this version of Ellie, the way they've set her up, being this sensitive, mushy person,
Mm-hmm.
this version of Ellie, I would believe would say, you know what, we're going to be a family. Let's go back, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't see the anger. We don't see the Ellie that was in the room talking to the council. We
Not
don't see
until
that.
not until she hears Nora's name, and then it's like
Well,
and then it's like,
but
oh, I forgot. This is what we came out here
right,
to do.
right. But I'm saying it's more believable that she would be like change her mind.
Yeah.
I would believe that more from this version of Ellie than the Ellie that we saw when she heard Nora's name.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. All of this is just it's. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
And I mean, even once they hear the radio and they hear Nora's name and they're like, oh, something's going on because apparently there was another attack between the Seraphites and the wolves. 12 people are killed, but we don't know. I don't think we know who is killed on what side. So they run upstairs to the roof to see where all of this is taking place. And then Dina, actually sits there and figures out on the map, okay, so they said they were in, I think they said Lakeview. Okay, that's Lakeview right there. That's where they are. And you can see Ellie, like she has a determination on her face, but then at the same time, she's thinking. And she turns around to Dina and she was like, you can stay here. You don't have to come. And I knew she was going to do that. And Dina was like, fuck you. Like literally says, fuck you. She was like, I'm staying. And she was like, no, things are different now. Okay, Dina says, we're gonna do this together. And it again, it's like the whole night they're getting to know each other in different ways, because of course they know each other, they're best friends, but now they're looking at each other in a different way. They're looking at each other as lovers, as a potential family, because they automatically like, it's automatically assumed, oh, we're going to raise this child together. Yeah, Jesse's going to be there, but we're going to be together. And all of this, again, it does in a sense feel rushed, which we only have, I think this season is only 7 episodes. So we're more than halfway at this point. So I guess they figure, okay, we're going to go ahead and put this out there and make it so it's not lingering over the next episodes. But now it's kind of like, I don't know if I feel like Dina is going to make it. Because of course, in shows like this, when you give us that kind of thing, you give us them happy, you give us, her being pregnant and being worried and all this other stuff, something is going to happen. Something's going to have to happen to kind of set Ellie off a little bit more. And I just feel like it's going to be Dina. And I don't want that to happen, because contrary to how we have been talking in this episode, I actually like Dina's character and I like her and Ellie together. I think she's a good fit for Ellie, because Ellie is the one who goes half cocked and doesn't think about shit. And Dina is the one that sits her still and is like, A, B, C. This is what we do. This is how we do it. This is when we do it. And Ellie actually listens to her. So I don't have a problem with them being together. I think they're great together. I just think the timing of the way that they did it in this episode was just so weird, because I could be standing in front of the love of my life right now, but if there are clickers trying to get to me, the last thing I'm thinking about doing is fucking. I'm so sorry. I'm thinking about, okay, how do I get away from them? How do I be safe? And now that I have this additional information, what am I going to do with this information? Okay, you're immune. Okay, you're pregnant. Those are both kind of, I don't want to say weird things to be right now, but it does make you vulnerable. Dina, for obvious reasons, because we've already seen she's had morning sickness twice, or she's had a version of morning sickness where she sees something that upsets her, she throws up, which again, if she's throwing up, how did y'all folks didn't smell that when y'all walked in the room? But then again, they probably smell entrails, so never mind. But Ellie, on the other hand, if Dina takes time to think about that revelation, she's probably going to realize a lot of things real quick. She's probably going to realize why Joel was killed. She's going to realize why they came back. She's going to realize why Joel and Ellie had this friction between us. Because, yeah, if Dina is as smart as they are making us believe she is, she's going to put 2 and 2 together. She's going to be like, okay, hold up. So you guys came to Jackson and you left because you were supposed to go do something. You both came back and nobody ever talks about this thing, this trip, whatever. All of a sudden, Joel gets killed by outside people. Here we are going to find outside people. You're immune. I mean, she's going to start putting two and two together. And it's going to be one of those things, I think it may cause a wedge between them. Because if we've been best friends for 5 years, you didn't think this was important enough to tell me? Even without all the romantic undertones, we're best friends. You didn't think this was important enough to tell me?
Mm.
And could you have helped with people like Eugene or other people in the town? Like, is there something that you could have done to help them?
Die. I mean, if again we're back to Joel's choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And knowing Dora, she would have made the same choice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She would have made the same exact choice.
So again,
Yeah, you're gonna sacrifice yourself for something we don't even know is gonna work.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, and they're like, oh well, we tried. Dead.
Yeah.
She's dead and gone, and can't come back from that.
Mm-mm. And then you're going to have to think about, okay, so what if you do find this Abby girl? Okay. Abby's father was the doctor. So Abby and her other people, we know that they know what the rumors were regarding Ellie. So if they happen to come face to face now and Abby realizes this is Ellie, this person right here is the whole reason your dad died and all of your people died. You don't think she's going to try to take Ellie and be like, oh, okay, well, we found her. She's supposed to be immune. I mean, Seattle seems to be set up pretty nice. Maybe they have a doctor. Maybe they even have the type of doctor that they need for Ellie. What was it that what's the name said? Isaac said to the Seraphite. He was like, we have hospitals, we have community, we have hospitals. Very, very specifically, we have hospitals. That means they're probably equipped to do what needs to be done with Ellie to do whatever they need to do.
Now you're giving them the benefit of the doubt.
I'm just saying it's going to be a problem.
Just because a mass unit does not make a hospital. You still need a neurosurgeon. You're gonna need probably a pathologist.
But that's what I'm saying. How do we not know that they may not have one of those? I mean, they had another surgeon and two nurses in Salt Lake. And I said this before, they're not going to put all of these important people in one spot, specifically for a scenario like what Joel did.
Again, but wasn't he a dental surgeon? I mean, he wasn't a neurosurgeon.
Wasn't Herschel on The Walking Dead a veterinarian? But he was able to do what he needed to do to help people.
Yeah, but neurosurgery is not just something you just be like, yeah, I got it.
Maybe they don't have to do the neurosurgery. Maybe somebody there is like, yeah. I mean, they might be like, maybe a blood transfusion is the trick. Maybe that's all we have to do.
No, we saw what happened to that little black boy when she put her blood on there. He changed
but we don't know.
I don't care what
y'all say.
That's
your theory. We don't know.
We don't know that that's
fact.
Faster.
No, because
you know walking around infecting people.
No, you know what? Because now that I think about it, most of the infected people, they turn almost instantly. He survived overnight.
Okay. So, I ain't going back to rewatch, so
I'll take your I'm just saying it's possible. But either way it goes, again, here we go. We got the soap opera taking place with the two of them.
Hold up. Stop. So they could have done blood transfusions, right? But that would have required them to sacrifice somebody.
Not necessarily, because
these things need to be steady.
Well, I mean, So you don't have to kill someone to do a blood transfusion. You can like be a live person doing a blood transfusion. You don't
Yeah,
have
but
to.
how are you gonna know if it works though?
Well, I mean, they could always. Okay, so now my mind is going.
I really don't think they thought it through.
So
I
my
really
mind is going back to another vampire movie of sorts. I Am Legend. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if they would ever be able to catch one of the clickers and kind of restrain it the way that Will Smith did in I Am Legend. But if they were able to, if they were able to find a way to kind of restrain it and maybe do testing on it, like, okay, we have her blood. Let's see if it has any effect on her. That could be a possibility. The only thing that's gonna fuck with that is the fact that they share a hive mind. So if something is happening to one, I think the others feel it. Just like with, the tendrils, and once something touches them, it's like everybody knows where to go, where those tendrils are located. So that's the only thing I can think of that would kind of fuck it up. But if they were able to get a test subject, they wouldn't have to kill anyone. They'd be able to be like, oh, okay, well, let's just inject some of her blood and see what it does. They
It's
could.
not gonna do anything because the clicker's already changed. It keeps you from being
That's
turned.
why I said I was thinking like I Am Legend, because what he was doing in the movie, I have not read that book, but what he was doing in the movie, it was actually reversing them, and it was changing them
Yeah,
back to human.
that's a totally different process. Okay. It's a
Look,
totally
I'm just
different
throwing stuff around. We're
process.
talking about infected mushroom people walking around with that. I'm
Process.
just throwing stuff around. I'm just saying. So I don't know. Like, I think the most interesting part of this episode for me was Isaac and what's going on with the wolves and the Seraphites, because I have a feeling that is probably going to play a big picture, a big part in what Ellie decides to do or not do. Because it's one thing when you think you're coming to take care of a group of five. It's another thing when you find out that group of five belong to a larger group and you're like, okay, well, like Dina said, she was like, so what if we find somebody who wasn't in Jackson? And Ellie just looked at her. So that look basically told her we're going to kill them too. Oh, okay, if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. Fine. But you didn't come prepared, and you don't have enough anger in you right now to
Mm-hmm.
deal with all of the wolves and to deal with these Seraphites who apparently have no problem stringing up and gutting people and leaving them to hang. You are not prepared for that.
No.
And if anybody from the wolves or even anybody from the Seraphites, okay, the Seraphites are going to look at her and be like, okay, she's not from here, but I don't know what their practice is. I don't know how they bring people in. But if she wants to try to blend in by going in with them, they wouldn't turn her away. I mean, it was just like what the guy said. He was like, yeah, y'all people come to us all the time and convert. We don't
Mm-hmm.
never come to y'all. If anybody from the wolves sees Ellie and Dina, they're going to capture them. They're probably going to question them and be like, how the fuck did you get into our city? Where did you come from? How did you know we were here? That's going to be dangerous for them. And then if Abby or any of the others happen to see Ellie and recognize her as the girl who came in guns blazing when they were about to kill Joel, she's going to have a whole different set of problems. She is not prepared. And then for her to be going on this, to have the additional emotional weight that she now has, she's not prepared. I don't know if she's I don't know if she's in the right mind frame to do what she needs to do. Now, granted, if she sees Abby, I'm sure that switch will flip real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I just don't know if I feel like she's where she needs to be. She's got
Mm-hmm.
too she's got too many other things going on. She's got too many distractions, and she's got too many other factors that she didn't think about when she decided to make this trip. So, I I don't know how I'm feeling at this point. I I don't know. I have a feeling things are about to get very weird. Things are about to get very dangerous.
I just need for them to recover from this episode because this does not bode well for this series. If this is what we're going to be dealing with the rest, I was fully expecting we were going to get like an episode, a bodying episode for every person that was there that killed Joel. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look like that, and this is, I don't want this.
Yeah.
And side note, and you know what the ratings what have happened to the ratings.
No, I haven't checked.
Oh, they've tanked.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They've tanked. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you guys gonna have to do
considerably.
something. Like I
They're gonna
said,
have to do something.
we still need some flashback episodes with Joel. Bring Joel back. I mean,
We're
I
gonna need more
realize
Jeffrey Wright.
I mean he might do it too because like I said, we don't know what's going on with Isaac now, but one thing about him, he has the Joel and Tommy vibes. I think
Mm-hmm.
from season one, when they talked about, yeah, my brother and I, we did some terrible things. Isaac is
We're
the
looking at it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I will say this: I still have hopes that Tommy maybe at some point decided to follow Ellie to Seattle, maybe to talk her out of what she was going to do, or maybe to join her. But if that doesn't happen, and I think we also have to remember they do have a season 3 coming up, and I think it was Carlos that I was talking to, and he was like, okay, so I think they're going to stop the season with the Seattle stuff and then move on to the third season. I'm like, what Seattle stuff? But I didn't want spoilers. But if you're going to focus the rest of the season on the Wolves and the Seraphites, that means we may not get Abby and her company until next season, which
Next season.
probably won't drop until this is 20. It probably won't drop until late 2026 or 2027.
Mm.
Most likely 2027 because I think season 1 came out in 2023, right?
Yeah.
2022, 2023.
2023. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm just okay. We've established y'all are together. Okay, now y'all need to go kick some ass because that's what I'm here to see. I am on the revenge road tour. I don't need, like you said, I don't need the CW stuff yet. Wait until later. Wait until you've done what you came to do. You don't need any distractions right now because you already know. And if you didn't know before you stepped into Seattle, you know it now. These people are trained, these people are
Mm-hmm.
dangerous, and you don't have time for the distractions. You don't have time to, and I hate to say it, Joel is dead because Joel let his guard down. He was trying to
Yeah.
help somebody else who, one, was not part of your town. And I think, and I'm going to blame some of that on Maria because Joel was the person who was like, we don't need to keep bringing stragglers in. We don't have the room. We don't have the resources. Maria tried to make it seem like he was a bad person for having that thought. So then when you run into somebody who is about to get whatever, your instinct now is to save that person, even though you don't know who this person is. You don't know why she's there. Like, why are you out here by yourself? Like, who are you? Where did you come from? I I think that's a lot of the reason why Joel is dead. Part of it is on Joel, and I'm going to put a little bit of it on Maria. Ellie cannot afford that,
No, she can't. Again,
especially
like I
if
said,
she.
she can't make any mistakes.
No, she
She
can't.
can't. She can't.
She
Not
can't.
in this situation.
No. So okay, I realize you have to go because you have things to do. So, do you have any final thoughts about this episode?
No, but I had a thought about the preview for next week's episode.
Okay, what's your thought? Because I'm trying to remember. I know I
We're
saw it.
we're getting spores.
Oh,
We're
yes,
getting spores.
yes,
We're
yes.
getting spores. And and that's all I'm gonna say.
When
That's
I
it.
saw that at the end of the preview, because I'm looking, I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna pick up a little bit in the next episode. and then you see the spores. And I was just like,
She's like, how did
what?
you sent your whole squad down there to die? We're trying to figure it out. She's like,
It's in
it's
the
in the
air.
air.
And then you see one of them, and it's like blowing spores at Ellie. And I'm like, wait, is Ellie, is she immune to the spores too? Like now I have deeper questions, but holy shit, the threat level just raised by like a
Yeah.
million.
If anything can turn the show around, it's going to be that.
Okay. And on that note, that is it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media, on all the social media at Fandom Hybrid. You can chat with us on our Discord channel. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.